know what you're going to do, all of those things. And we wanted to bring in different people to help you hear different success stories that aren't always that straight line, right? Like, people often don't have it all figured out, and they kind of take a more winding path to success. And so we invited Mr. Dale to come and share with you, because he has a really intriguing, interesting story about where he ended his high school career and where he is now. And so he's going to be sharing that with you. The candy in front of you is just we're glad you're here, have a snack if you need it. So yes, you can have some of that. And we just invite you to take in the message, but also be conversational. Be thinking about what questions you might have for him. If something that he says intrigues you, feel free to follow up with that. Okay? Mr. Dale.
Right.
Oh, and one more. Mr. Dale is the son-in-law of Mrs. Serafini, our school nurse. And so that's kind of a great connection. So just so that you know. All right, Mr. Dale, here we go.
Yes, I'm happy to be here today talking to you guys. I think what you just said is completely true for myself. I had no clue what I wanted to do, and it took a long time to find out what that was. Up in the screen it says, dream big, the world is yours. That's what I'm here to talk to you today. It's not important about what you want to go do, but it's important to have dreams of what you want your life to be like and to live it and figure it out as you go. So, 87% of realtors fail. So how am I a successful realtor? I think what's even more interesting is how did I even get into real estate? Like, why would I pick real estate? I had no clue. In 2009 when I graduated, real estate wasn't even on my mind, thought, an option that I could even do. So why I'm here talking to you guys today is, I think it's awesome, is because I was you guys. I went to Canton South. I was a little kid. I didn't know what I wanted to do. 17, 18 years old, had no clue what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. It's a huge decision. You think you have to make it perfect, but the thing is you don't. Like, you just got to live it and do it. As I'm talking with you guys, there's some key takeaways. What's most important is you have to have a dream. You have to have a dream vision of what you want for your life to be. That's the most important thing. It's what fuels you. It's what makes you go. Like, what do you want out of your life? Because you go to school to get a job, and that job is to provide for the life that you live, and that's what's so important. In your job, you're replaceable. If you leave, somebody can replace you, but in your life, you can't be replaced. So what you do every day in and day out is for what you want to make out of your life. And so how do you make these dreams come to life then? And when you do find something that you want, how do you make it come to life? Well, you got to set goals, and you got to have plans to make it happen. And I've never had somebody come up and tell me, like, hey, like, I don't want to be successful. I don't want to succeed. Like, you know, like, everybody wants to succeed, but how do you succeed? And that's taking action. You got to just go do stuff. You can't be afraid. If you can't overanalyze things. Like, I have a lot of investors all the time in real estate. They're like, hey, I want this deal. Like, let me just like figure out these numbers some more. Like, I don't think I'm ready yet. Let's wait for the next one. And then next year they're calling me. They're like, why didn't I buy this? And that was such a good deal. Like, I missed out on a great opportunity. Sometimes you overanalyze things and you just need to take action. But then when you do take action, you got to evaluate. You got to see, like, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, what should I do more of, like, what is, like what do I like doing? Let's do more of that. What gives me energy? All day at work, when I'm at work, it's like certain things like I don't like doing. So it's like, okay, this is taking energy from me. Let's see how I can outsource that. Let's see if I can find somebody else to do those things for me. And then the things I love doing, going to meetings and talking with people and writing contracts and getting them their dream home. Like, it's like, all right, that fuels me. Let's do more of that. So how do I do more of that and less of the things I don't like doing? And then you rinse and repeat. And like every step, like as I'm talking to you about my story today, you'll see like having a dream, it changes a lot as you go. It's not like a clear-cut path, this is my dream, I'm going to go live it. It changes, and that's what you got to reevaluate, and you got to keep moving. So, 2009, I'm 18 years old, I just graduated high school. Now what do I do? I didn't think I had very many options. My parents never went to college. Could I go to college? I don't know. I kind of had a low self-esteem when it came to that kind of stuff. But all my teachers teachers, everybody who's talking to me tells me, you need to go to college. You have to go to college. That's how you get a good job. That's how you make money. It's like, okay, well then I guess I should go to college. So I had a friend going to Stark State to become a travel nurse. Okay, nurses make good money. You get to travel. I like going on vacations. That sounds pretty cool. Sign me up. Let's take some classes. So my first semester, going for nursing classes, anatomy, physiology, got the books in front of me, I'm doing all the studying, learning every single muscle, bone in the body. It's like, this is pretty cool. I'm doing pretty good at this. It's something I could do. Then anatomy and physiology 2 came along. Pushed the books aside, and they rolled out cadavers. Cadavers are literally like dead bodies, and they're cut open, and I'm in there, and they got pins sticking in them, and I'm just like gagging, like throwing up, like. And I have a 4-year-old son now, and I've been wiping his butt for 4 years, and I still, like, every now and then, like, I gag and throw up. Like, it's just a gut reaction that I've always had my entire life. I've always had this. When bodily fluids, like, freak me out. I don't like it. Why was I going to school to become a nurse? Like, this is a horrible decision. But it wasn't thought out. It was just like, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's just do it. Like, go with the flow. What could go wrong? So as you guys can probably imagine, I didn't sign up for the next semester. So I dropped out of Stark State. You're not going to college, what do? Well, you got to get a job. So Freshmark, the meat factory, right down the road, Sugardale, bologna, bacon, all that good stuff. They're always hiring, so if you're looking for a job, you can get a job at Freshmark. I started off at $8 an hour. Working at least 40, usually even 60 hours a week. I worked on an assembly line. So they sliced some bologna, put it down a conveyor belt, I grabbed it, I put it in a bag, and that kept going. My feet did not move. 8 hours a day, going like this. 10 hours a day. This is all I'm doing. It was horrible. But it's a blessing in disguise because I would not be where I am today if it was not for this. I did this for 18 months. Of course, I moved up as I was working there and did other things, but still, there was always a glass ceiling. It was inhumane. Like, a person should not be doing this. There's so much more out of life. I wanted more. I wanted to create more. I knew I was capable of doing more than that. And it's mind-numbing. You don't have to think. So while I'm sitting there for 8 hours going like this, I'm in my head, and I'm thinking, I don't want to be doing this. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Why am I doing this right now? Oh, well, I got a car loan. It was like $5,000. Buy a car, so I got to pay that off. Okay, well, I'm working overtime tonight. 4 hours of overtime, that'd be $12 an hour, it's almost 50 bucks. I do that 5 times, that'd be over $250 a week. I do that for 4 or 5 weeks. And so within 5 months, I can pay off my car loan. Okay, I pay off my car loan. I can save that money. What am I going to do with that money that I saved though? Okay, I should maybe go back to school. But what do I want to do for school? So I have like 10 hours a day, every day in, day out. It's like, I do not want to do this. What do I want to do? So I'm really critically thinking about this, and it's like, well, I just planned out literally 4 months of my pay and budgeted every single penny of what I'm going to do with that pay and where it's going to go and what I'm going to do with it. So, hey, you know what? I'm pretty good at math. I want to make good money. I like handling money. I should go for accounting. Like that seems like a good thing I should probably do. So 2 years, almost 2 years at Freshmark, I really came to the conclusion like accounting, like that seems smart. Like it's a backbone of business. You get it's high paying jobs, high demand. You always need accountants, either taxes or auditing businesses. So I quit Freshmark. I saved up enough money where I could pay for a year or two at Stark State. Quit Freshmark, signed up for Stark State, and within a couple years, oh yeah, the most important thing here though is that I knew I did not want to work at Freshmark again. That was something I knew with conviction. It was like deep in my bones. I could feel like I do not want to go back. I'm going to move forward and I'm going to do better. So that was something I had that I felt like the dream and the passion, like you can feel it. Like I knew this is not what I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to go and do something more. Within a couple years, I got my associate's degree. Applied for a job at Black McCuskey Law Firm. Got hired in as accounts receivable. So this was awesome. This was my goal. I wanted to go get my associate's degree. I did it. Now I got a pretty good paying job in Canton, really nice law firm. And I'm accounts receivable, so this is sweet. Well, calling people and said, hey, you owe us a few $1,000s, please start sending payments, and then they give a sad story, like, and it's true too, like, oh, we hired an attorney because my husband died in a car accident and we don't have a way to pay you. And so I go to my boss, I'm like, look, they can't pay us, and they're like, well, we'll find a way to make them pay. I'm like, I don't want to be doing this is horrible. But the great thing about it, though, I was working with professionals, and I started seeing a bigger picture. I was working with attorneys. These are powerful people. Some of them are becoming my friends. It's like, some of them are only a few years older than me. So now my self-esteem is starting to grow. I'm starting to think, hey, I could do something like this. I could be successful. My whole life, not my whole life, but after high school, I didn't think I could do much. But now here I am doing stuff, and I've seen other people doing it. And I'm surrounding myself with people that are professionals. And the saying, you surround yourself with who you want to be with, or who you want to be like. And it's so true, it's so powerful, because then those are conversations we're talking. They're all talking about buying houses. All my friends that were new attorneys, they're buying nice, big $200,000, $300,000 homes. And guess what? Within a few months, I bought a home. It was only like an $80,000 home, but still, I bought a home. I was a homeowner. This is something that I didn't even think was possible, but other people were doing it. I was around, so I'm like, I can do this. So I saw the bigger picture. It's like I wanted more. I wanted to do more. So I signed up for classes at Walsh University Accelerated classes. And I got my bachelor's degree within 12 months. This is while working full-time at Black & McCuskey. And so to be able to do that, though, the classes started at 5:30 up in Akron, and I was working 8 to 5 in Canton. It was just not really possible to get there in time. So I had to go to the director of the law firm and tell them, hey, I need to get out. Can I work 7:30 to 4:30? Well, that doesn't work for them because the attorneys are good at 5. It would look bad if I left before the attorneys did. But what I did for a long time, I made myself irreplaceable there. I showed up with a smile. I made friends with all the attorneys. I was doing my job. I was doing it great, too. So when I told them, this is important to me, this is what I want to do, they were like, all right, we'll make an exception. You come in 7:30 to 4:30, you can leave and go to your classes. So I went 12 months, got my bachelor's degree, and this is crazy. When I was at Start State, somebody from Bruner Cox accounting firm came in and talked to us, and it was like, I want to be like him. This guy has his stuff together. He knows what he's doing. He's successful. This is what I want. For 2 years of my life, it's I want to get my bachelor's degree. I want to go to Bruner Cox. I did it. This is my dream coming true. This is what I wanted. This is what I've worked hard for, and everything is coming true. But in life, the one thing you can count on is change. Everything's always going to change. We just went through COVID 2 years ago. The whole world stopped. Things are always going to change, and you can't always foresee what's going to change. Just in life, so do your goals and dreams change. So I took this job in October of 2015 at Bruner Cox. I couldn't be more happy, so excited. But then a Crossroads hit me. I had a friend who was doing online marketing, and he called me literally same month, October 2015, and said, hey, I'm doing these ads online. I'm having a lot of success with them. I want to show you what I'm doing, and you can do it too. You can be self-employed. You be your own boss. You have to create your own company, an LLC. So I got to go create my own company. What does that even mean? But at the same time, I'm at Bruner Cox. This is my dream. This is what I wanted. This is what I've worked for. It's safe. It's secure. And it worked out fine because at first, with the entrepreneurship, you can work your own hours and that stuff. So I did it on the side. I went and created my own company, started doing it on the side, working 10, 20 hours a week on it, making a little bit of money, and it's like, okay, this is cool. But then the Crossroads hit. It's December. Next month is January. That's tax season. Tax season at Bruner Cox means you're working 80 hours a week, minimum. And there's no if and ands about that. You have to. So there's no way I can do both anymore. And so I really had to make a decision. And I feel like my whole life leading up to this moment, there's no way I would ever take that risk and become an entrepreneur. But at the same time, I'm at Bruner Cox. It's Christmas Eve. The whole office is empty. I'm a new hire, so I'm there. There's another new hire. We're joking. We're not working. There's no work to do. It's Christmas Eve. There's one senior staff accountant in the back. He was there. He was my superior. I walked up to him and I said, why is nobody here? And he was like, oh, it's Christmas Eve. He's like, everybody's taking their vacation today. He's like, they can't take vacation in the summer because we're working too much, so they're taking their vacation at the end of the year. I said, okay, well, why are you here? Why aren't you taking your vacation? Oh, well, I can't. Like, this job has to get done. It's something I have to do. I have to get it done before the end of the year. I have to be here. So I went back and sat down in my seat, and I'm like, this was my dream. Like, he's in his 40s. He's working Christmas Eve. He's not with his family. The people, everybody here, the only time they can take vacation is at the end of the year. Like, that was a huge passion of mine is traveling. I want to travel. I want to do things. My girlfriend at the time, it was always her goal to go to Asia for a month. It was like, she was like, I want to go to Asia for a month. We were young, so we've been saving and planning for this. And now I'm finding out I can't do this at the law firm, at the accounting firm. I have to be working all summer. So it was really thinking about, like, what is my reason why? What do I want? What is my dreams? What is my goals? What do I want to create with my life? And I want freedom. I want time. Like, we only have life. Like, I think the greatest resource is not money and all that stuff. It's time. To have the freedom in whatever you want to do with this time. We have limited time here on earth, and we got to make the most of it. So I ended up making the jump. I quit here, and this was a huge kicker too. When I went and told them my 2 weeks, they said, "Don't leave. We like you. We want you to stay. Here's an extra. I think it was $5,000 or $6,000 on my salary." So, oh wow, that's nice. But money isn't really the reason why I'm leaving. The reason why I'm leaving is I want to go to Asia for a month. That's what really I wanted to do. We had that already planned. We didn't buy the tickets yet, but we had everything planned, booked out. So I told him that's not enough. I'm leaving. So I made the jump, and now I'm self-employed. I'm doing pretty much mostly what I was doing was Facebook ads. It's affiliate marketing. I run ads. I get traffic to somebody else's product. If the person buys that product, then I get a commission. So I make a little bit of money. But then reality hit. So I just left this really secure, high-paying job. And now I'm self-employed. I only make money if I work and get something to work. And the first month, I made $0. Even though I was making money previously, whatever happened, something happened, changed, Facebook algorithm changed. I'm now making no money. What did I do? Like, I just made a huge mistake. Like, life is valleys, peaks and valleys. You're always gonna be, it's a roller coaster. You're going up and down, like the whole life. You're always gonna have peaks and valleys. And not only am I in the valley, but I'm in the trenches right now. Like, I'm lower than low. Like, this is horrible. And then something clicks in. Like, I remember freshman. I hated that. I can't go backwards in life. Like, I can't go back to Bruner Cox now and go crawling back and ask them for my job back. I have to keep moving forward. There's barriers, there's obstacles, there's always gonna be obstacles. So you have to just push through them. So you gotta trust the process. I knew that there was a process. You had to literally grind out, like, get these creatives, like submit 100 different ads a day, really small budgets, and the ones that work, you have to raise those budgets. Well, the thing is, back then you had to do it at midnight at the start of the new day, but Facebook's in California, so that's at 3 a.m. So every day I woke up at 2:45 a.m. so I can be on my computer and I can be managing these things. My dog still today sometimes wakes up at like 2 or 3 a.m. like and moves around a little bit, like, because he's used to that schedule. Like, that was what I did every single day, and no days off. Like, this was 7 days a week. You're self-employed. There's nobody here to work on the weekends. If you want to make money, you have to work. It was a grind. It was a non-stop grind, day in, day out. And really, it was just, what did I want? Like, what was that? My passions was greater than the barriers that were in front of me. So that kind of helped push me forward. And when you do something day in and day out, the results start to compound. At first, like, nothing too great was happening. Like, I was making enough money to pay my bills, but I didn't stop. Like, I kept going, and month after month after month. Now it's starting to see huge rewards, and I started living the dream. I wanted to travel, so Facebook, you're doing it remotely. to Tahoe. I was going to Las Vegas. We flew a helicopter in the Grand Canyon. I was in California redwoods. Like every 2 months, like we were going on a trip, like and just like living the best life possible. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to happen and what I wanted to create. So why then? What goes up must come down. Why? If I'm living my dream, why am I depressed right now? Like I was sad. I did not want to go in anymore. I was burnt out. Is what I was. You can't work that much, and the problem that when I sat back and thought about what was the issue, the only goal I had at that time was to make money. That's not substance. Like that's not like you're not. There's no fulfillment from that. Like you're not helping people. There's nothing good that comes from that. Like they say, money doesn't buy happiness, and that's true. Like I lived it. Like there's nothing great that comes from it. You're not proud of it. So, and the thing is, when you're always trying to make money, like there's always a bigger fish. So you're comparing yourself to other people, and it's just depressing when it gets to it. So somehow, I don't know how it happened, I came across the book, The Art of Happiness. I've never read books, but for whatever reason, I picked that book up and I started reading it. And one of the first lessons in life is suffering. Life is suffering. You're always going to have suffering in life. You can't avoid it. So what do? You kind of embrace it, and you learn how to deal with it, and you learn how to move on. And then the second thing it talked about was being compassion, was helping other people. That if you help other people, then you create happiness for yourself. And this was something that's like kind of really I'm just like soaking in, day out. Like what does this mean for me? I'm not creating happiness where I'm at, so I need to do something different. But what do I do? Literally thought about buying a franchise. Was pretty close to making that happen. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I love the fact of being an entrepreneur. It's hard work, but for whatever reason, it just sparked something in me that I wanted to be self-employed. So what do I do now? And really had to think about it, and eventually came across real estate. So why did I pick real estate? Well, just bought my third house in only 4 years, and it was a fun process. Like you get on Zillow, you can look at pictures, you see which like layouts you like, what like areas, locations, so many things that go into it. And the homes that I sold then, I did for sale by owner. Again, just a process of doing it, prospecting. You had to find that buyer. Like it was like kind of like with Facebook ads and marketing. Like I had to go find that person to buy my home. And buying and selling a home is literally the biggest decision you have in your life. You're not just helping them buy or sell real estate. Like I really consider myself a life advisor. I just had a client tell me he went through a divorce. He's in a nasty place right now. He's like, look, I need to buy a home, and it's just a stepping stone. In like 1 or 2 years, I'm gonna be buying another home. I said, okay. We went and looked at some homes, and like he had this big, beautiful home, and now he's downgrading, he's buying like the lesser home, and everything I could just see in his face. He's not happy with the homes that we were looking at, and he's worried, like this housing market's booming right now. Is there going to be another crash? And so finally, I came to the conclusion. I'm like, look, how do you feel about if we went and looked at a duplex? You rent the one side out, you live in the other side. In 1 or 2 years, when you go to move again, you can move out, you rent out that, and now you have rental income. And now instead of buying and selling multiple homes, you have an investment that's making you money. And after coming to that decision, he ended up buying a duplex, couldn't be happier with it. So with real estate, you're really helping people in the long run, not just buying and selling a home, but like really helping them in life. Like that's what I want all my clients to know. Like don't just come to me with real estate problems, any life problem. Let's just talk. Like my number one job is client relations. I have to build relationships with people, and that's how I have a job. So with real estate, currently, what I love about real estate is that it's like its whole ecosystem. There's hundreds of opportunities in real estate, and I feel like that's how like I've lived my life for the last few years. It's like I'm always looking for opportunities. you look for an opportunity, you're gonna find it. They come up, they pop up. And so with real estate, you don't have just buying and selling homes. You have investors. You have title companies. I'm part owner of a title company now. There's insurance. There's loan officers. My one friend, he was asking me what should he do. I told him, why don't you look into becoming a loan officer? So now he's signed up for classes and he's becoming a lender. And he couldn't be more excited about it. So yeah, this is like, when I think about the future, I'm so excited right now. When I was 18, 19 years old, somebody came and told me I was gonna be a realtor, I'd tell them, you're crazy. Like, that's never crossed my mind. What would I even do with it? But as I worked out the things throughout life, I came to this position, and I just turned 30 last year, and what's great, like, I'm so excited about turning 40 because I know I'm still gonna be in real estate. Like, this is something I'm gonna continue to grow. This is something of substance that there's more to it. There's a longevity out of it. It's not just something for myself, but I'm also building something that's generational. This is something I can pass down to my kids. This is something that is not just me working day in and day out. I've already hired employees. I'm looking for more. I'm looking for a marketing consultant right now. And this is something that, like, I can kind of step back and let it go on its own. I'm still gonna have to be there to come up with a big vision, but I'm not the day in, day out grinder. I'm more like a general now. I have a map, and I'm like, all right, let's start going this direction. Let's do these pieces here. And the reason that this has all happened, I feel, is because I know my reason why. Why did I want to do this stuff I'm doing now? When I was younger, my childhood, it wasn't the best upbringing. My dad, he worked, like, he still says today, he's not gonna retire. He's gonna work till the day he dies. And that's something that just, like, it hurts. Like, one, he wasn't around when I was a kid because he always had to work. And two, thinking about that, like, the life that he worked so I could eat. He worked so I could go to school and play sports and do everything else. And so one of my reasons why I'm working right now is I want to be able to go and tell him one day, Dad, you don't have to work anymore. You can retire. I got everything covered. You're good till you don't have to work anymore. The other reason why I'm working hard right now is because I have two little ones. I have a 4-year-old and 2-year-old, and just seeing them every day is like I want to spend as much quality time as I can with them. I want to be able to take them on vacations. I want to be able to give them the best life possible. So really knowing, this goes back to the first thing, having dreams. I have a dream of what I want to create with my life, and I can feel it. Like, I know what it is now, and now I got to go make it happen. So when something happens, like an obstacle, like I just had a deal the other day that, like, everything's falling through on it. And literally the other realtor involved in the deal, like, this is done. We're not gonna be able to piece this together. I'm like, no, let's call around, let's get an attorney to look into this. I think we can fix this title issue and we can still make it happen. We're still in contract, and we're set to close before the end of the year. So when things come up, there's always gonna be obstacles. And I love when there's an obstacle, because if it was easy, then anybody can do it. If it's easy, everybody would do it. But when it becomes hard and you have to really grind it out and find a solution, then that just makes you that much better against your competition. So really having that dream and knowing why is really important. Probably went too fast. That's pretty much it. I do have.
Should I talk about
Yeah.
life?
So I brought in a few books today that I felt was pretty. That's to say it. So I didn't used to read books. One thing I think is important is school doesn't stop when you go home. You're always learning. That's one thing I think too with my success is I found that I love learning. It's always interesting to me. There's always something new out there that you can find out. So within the last couple of years, I've really started reading. I read at least a book a month now, and some of my favorites. So I brought in a few today. We can do a raffle. I figure each group would have a chance to come up and pick a book if they want. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So this is in the early 1900s, and what's really great about this book is it's just so true. Really, what's one of his quotes? If you try to tell people, see this is something I'm not good about either. Is I don't like talking about myself. I don't do this, so this is why it's really new to me, and I apologize if it's been a little choppy. But to make friends, if you go and try to influence people and try to make friends talking about yourself, you would make more in 1 month just asking questions about other people. Being interested in other people, they love to. You usually love to talk about yourself. So he's a really good storyteller. All his lessons are stories that he tells in there, and they're very interesting to listen to. And it's so important to life because, especially in my job as a realtor, it's not really what you know, it's who you know. You got to build a network, and that's how you find opportunities too. Is building a network, having people that have your back, and you're gonna be successful in life. The other book, The Compound Effect, is pretty cool. It gets straight to the point. What I was kind of talking about, if you just do a really small little task, day in, day out. One thing here, like if you wanted to be a millionaire, it's pretty simple. You take $100. If you're 18 years old, you take $100 a month and put it in the S&P 500. $100 a month. That's not much. That's like you can at McDonald's, make $10, $12 an hour. You can put away $100 a month. By the time you're 60, you'd be a millionaire. Just $100 a month. That'd be less than $40,000 or $50,000 that you put away, and you'd have $1 million. But that's like a compound effect is when you do something small over a period of time, the results then come in. I think there's a problem that there is instant gratification. Like social media, messaging, all this stuff, boom, you get instant gratification. You send a message, somebody messages us back, this feels great, right? Yeah, hit a dopamine, it feels awesome. But to really be good and great, you have to have delayed gratification. With real estate, I got my license. First 3 months, I didn't make a paycheck. But I still work 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week, didn't make a paycheck. Most people probably quit. That's probably why 87% of realtors quit, because to get a deal to happen, it takes time. But now I have a whole inventory. I have a shelf up here of just buyers and sellers that's waiting to call me to sell their home, and it's just automated now. But at first, you have to put in the work, and the results come later. And then last one, The Alchemist. Is more, instead of business, is more just about personal. Just his outlook on life. Always he was one to take risks, and it's a very interesting story. But one thing I noticed he was talking about how he had to carry his jacket with him, and it wasn't cold anymore, and he was just having to carry his jacket. And it was this burden, this weight. Why am I carrying this jacket? This is on. But then at night he put it on, and he's like, wow, I'm so thankful to have this jacket. It's all about perspective. Last night doing the dishes, hand washing dishes, I don't want to be washing these dishes right now. But then I started thinking, man, I'm so grateful that we have dishes to eat off of. Imagine eating our food with no dishes, it would be a mess. So it's all about perspective in life. So that's why I brought those 3 books in. If you want, you can put a name on a piece of paper, and we can do a drawing and give them away.
So the QR codes around the room, you'll want to be sure to zap that, and then that's how we'll have your name throw it into the raffle. So, and it'll also register that you were here today. So if you haven't hit that with your phone yet, you'll want to before you leave. Are you up for some questions?
Yes.
You gave us a lot to think about. So as you're thinking about the message, the story that he shared, were there any pieces or parts that you're like, wait, how'd you do that? Or what were you thinking? Or anything that you have, I think is fair game.
Yeah.
Can I ask where you got your real estate license? How did you do it?
So Hondros. Hondros is up there in green, but it can be remotely too. So Yeah, for a real estate license, you have to be 18 years old. And it's 120 hours of classes. So I think there's like 4 or 5 different classes, around 30 or 40 hours each. So within 1 month, I had all my classes done. I signed up to take the exam, and when you have to take the exam, then once you pass, you get your license. It's around, I think, like $1,800. But if you like the broker, so I work with Berkshire Hathaway. They sponsor people, so I think they said like they get it reduced down to like $600, and you take your classes and you can get licensed to be a real estate agent. And there's a couple agents I see right now that are early 20s, and they're having great success.
Can you talk, I have a student in 7th period that wants to be a real estate appraiser. Do you know anything about where he could go to get?
So Hondros has real estate appraisers. They have loan officers. That's where my friend is going there for become a loan officer. So yeah, appraisers are there too. Appraisers is a pretty cool setup. It's about 10 minutes. They walk into a house, take out their phone, and just go, and then walk away and leave. And then they do a lot of work online too. The definition of an appraiser is the opinion of the value at that time. So literally they're protected. There's a lot of mistakes made that I see with appraisers, but they just throw up their hands and move along. So yeah, appraisers would be a cool profession to be in.
Thank you.
So that appraiser and the loan officer, you're paying for their services out of your commission? Is that how that works?
No. The appraiser is around $500, and that comes from the buyer. The buyer has to pay for that, and the loan officer kind of is the one that sets that up. So real estate process, when they find a house that they like, I write up the contract. So there's all the terms and negotiations that we do up front in that. Once they're under contract, then the loan officer is working on creating the loan for the buyer, and during that process, he has to hire an appraiser to come out to appraise the value.
So how much is this loan officer making?
They make pretty good money too. Loan officers, it all depends on how it's structured. I have a friend that just became a loan officer, and I asked him what's he making, and he said generally about 1% of the loan. So $300,000 loan, he's making $3K. And the thing about loan officers though, it doesn't take as much time. Like for myself to get somebody on a contract, it can take, they say on average 40 to 100 hours to get somebody on a contract. But a loan officer, like I'm in the field, I'm meeting people, doing all that stuff. Loan officer, they get the call, they do it all from their computer, and it's a rinse and repeat thing. They can turn them out pretty quickly. So.
Your experience with, you said you went 3 months without a check when you
Yes.
said become a realtor. Is that a typical experience because so much of it is built on relationship?
Yeah, I'd say so. Probably even longer. Well, like the thing is, once I got that first one closed, I already had another one lined up, and then another one lined up, and like I had them rolling in then at that point. But yeah, typically I'd say for a new realtor, they only close like 6 deals their first year. I ended up doing 32 deals my first year, and I'm up to, this is my 2nd year now. I'm gonna do 50 this year, and my goal for next year is to do 80.
Did you start off under another realtor?
No.
And you went on your own? Or?
I went on my own.
Okay.
Which I would recommend to go with the team. I thought I had the experience of running my own company. I knew what it took to show up every day. That's just it. Like even when I wasn't having deals and that stuff, I still was at the office working 40 hours a week. Yeah, I would recommend joining a team. I would see, and I still even think to myself, like, man, I should have like Amy Wingard or something like that. Like watch her systems, and then that's just it. Leave and then replicate it for myself. Because even though everything's so broad in general with real estate, it's like, oh, well, go make some phone calls. It's like, well, what do I call them about? Like, how do I get business out of that? But now, like, I've learned it, and yeah, I have a lot of systems in place and a lot of referrals. My phone is ringing more than I'm calling, so yeah.
So would there be like any like like a get your hands in the mud. move or
Yeah,
something.
so that's what they were kind of talking about with, you can join teams. So like Jose Medina is a huge name, and Amy Wingert is a huge name, and you can go to them and say, hey, like, can I join your team? And then so with that though, when I called them and talked to them, like Amy Wingert said, like, you would be a buyer specialist. I'm like, okay. What if my mom said she wanted to list her home, can I list it for sale? She's like, no, that would go to our listing specialist. I'm like, literally, my own mom's home I couldn't sell. And she's like, no. And so that's why I didn't. I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to become self-employed. But it makes sense. She has systems. Like, if you're only a buyer specialist, well, you're going to be great at being able to help somebody buy a home. And so, and you would learn the ins and outs. Not only would you learn how to buy a home, but then you would, like, you know, you're going to be in the same office with the person who's doing the listing too. So you're going to learn the whole ecosystem of how it is to be a good realtor.
Now,
That's
if you
a good
get with
question.
one of those owners, will they help pay for your training, or do you have to go there after you got your license? Like if you go to that.
Yeah. So you do have to get your license. You have to take your classes. But no, you could go start talking to them. That's what, like with Berkshire Hathaway, where I work now, they give scholarships and whatnot. So instead of the whole $1,800 to get your license, it only costs you like $600. And I'm sure they offer something like that too, maybe.
So, Mr. Dale, lots of ebbs and flows
Yes.
throughout high
Yeah.
school and middle school and everything else. And you had to persevere through a lot of it.
Yeah.
Any skill sets that you learned along your Canton South pathway that maybe helped you become where you're at today?
Skill sets. I think just back to that whole reason why, and dealing with adversity. When things don't go your way, I didn't complain and say like, "Woe is me! Why is this happening to me?" I think, what can I do differently to make it better, make it work for me? Because there's always going to be things that are out of your control. Like with real estate, so much stuff, like the appraisers all the time, they come in and say like, literally, I have so many realtors like, oh, the appraiser killed the deal. I was like, well, no, like they did something you didn't like, made it more difficult, but we can get creative here. We can find a solution to this. Like, I'll cut my commission. I'll make less on this deal, but let's make this deal happen because I don't want to start to scratch. I spent already 40 hours on this buyer, finding them this home. If I have to start to scratch now, I got to go put another 40 hours. Sure, I'll make less on this deal, but I don't have to spend that time. We're on closing table. Like, let's just close this and move on. And that's with really everything in life. There's always going to be stuff